course, they just started doing tree trimming or some shit out right outside my apartment. So hopefully it doesn't pick too much of that up.
Well, you and I both have covered this a million times, but there's no better feeling than even when something you're really looking forward to gets canceled.
Did it just get canceled?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Amazing. We're supposed to talk to Mark Finney. I'm recording, by the way.
I can see when you are.
Oh, yeah. Supposed to talk to Mark Finney, Boston filmmaker. Made that movie Fat that premiered at the Toronto Film Festival a few years ago. He's got a new one he's trying to get off the ground called, ironically, Fear of Flying.
Oh,
but yeah, he had a family friend type tragedy.
Oh shit.
That he was in the middle of, so he forgot to text me to cancel. But he said he'll hit me up tomorrow. He wants to do it. He'll reschedule, etc.
Hope it's nothing too serious.
It kind of is. So, I don't want to say on air what it is.
I didn't know if he shared the details with you or not, but Fear of Flying, that's interesting. So do you know if it's similar to this, that it's like a slice of life? Like,
yeah, I think it is.
About this phobia instead of this obsession or whatever.
Yes.
That's cool.
So anxiety.
I can relate to that.
The root of fat too.
Flying is creepy.
It's all anxiety. That's the root of all of our issues for the most part.
Dude, yeah, that will be a good conversation when we do get them on. It's one of those things where, like I dread stuff like just as it approaches, but then once you do it, you're like, that was awesome. What was I worried about?
A lot of times, yeah. Flying sucks.
No, I meant the conversation that that we just aren't having now with Vinny.
Of course.
Like, it's a load off not to do it, but then at the same time, once you do it, you're just like, that was amazing. Like, what was I?
Yeah, I can't wait to talk to the dude, but the Larry David in me is like,
yes, exactly.
Whew,
that's a different thing.
Bullet dodge. But
dude,
we did one last night that Zoom fucked up the video, and I think what it is, when you stop recording and start again with the pauses and shit, that it could, because that happened to us on the Zart one too. Remember the third lag of it? It tripped up and it was, it switched to a different, exactly. So I think it just does weird shit when you stop. So maybe that should be the thing we avoid doing, because we were talking about doing a test, but I'm like, that won't prove anything, because that'll only prove the part before you stopped is good. Once you start again, you don't know until you get into the edit or whatever, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, your gain seems a little high to me. You seem a little hot.
Oh shit! Weird. I never touched
just a little bit, just a tiny bit to me. To me, I don't know if the end result what it'll be, but
who knows? I know it does do some regulation on that shit. But...
yeah, it does. Yeah. But I watched the Fast Times at Ridgemont High table read last night. That was amazing.
Damn, I gotta watch it.
You didn't watch it yet? Okay, shit, man. Watching Sean Penn react to Shia LaBeouf's rendition of the character that he played. Like when
did he play it similar, or was it?
No, not really. He kind of did his own thing, dude. Shia brought it. Like everyone else, kind of. It was like the Zoom call kind of vibe, or whatever.
He doesn't
for the most part.
Anything.
90%,
110%.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, he did it totally differently. It wasn't like trying to mimic the, Sean
it wasn't like California Surfer did, bro.
But when they, and I didn't know it was that star-studded, this thing.
Like, oh, dude, I was telling you, the cast is ridiculous. Morgan Freeman,
Julia Roberts, Morgan Freeman did the narration.
Brad Pitt,
fucking Matthew McConaughey, Brad Pitt. Yeah, I knew Brad Pitt was in it. I knew like 3 of them or something, but I didn't realize like how expansive it was with the number of people. But when they did the introductions, when it came to Shia, he's like, "Hi, it's me," or whatever. And right then, like Sean, because that's why I do like having both people, like in our situation, or 3 or whatever, all on at once, because it was great to see Sean Penn's reaction to Shia. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
And when he did that, "Hi, it's me," Sean Penn goes, like he does a fist pump thing, like. This, I'm already in, and then there was a point where Shia was just really bringing it pretty early, and Sean Penn just leans back and lights up a cigarette. He's like, I need a cigarette for this shit. It's like, it was beautiful. It's beautiful.
That immediately just made me want a cigarette, and I haven't had one for like 8 years.
I did when I saw him do that. Yeah.
Just hearing it.
And you know the movie, how racy it gets sometimes. So they just did a few select scenes, but the ones they chose, like Jimmy Kimmel was part of it, Dane Cook. So I feel like they intentionally picked ones to make Morgan Freeman, say, like, just this racy shit, and like there's Jennifer Aniston and Brad Pitt. There's the scene where
so was she like the Phoebe Cates character, and he's Judge Reinhold?
I don't
He's jacking off to her, basically.
Yes.
Oh, perfect,
yes,
dude.
exactly.
That's
and they did that
perfect.
scene, and it's them. I mean, it's so meta, dude. Yes, it was amazing.
Great. So Sean Penn was just an observer. He wasn't.
No, he played a super minimal role, which I thought was an awesome move too. Awesome. He played the pizza delivery guy.
Perfect.
But he said, well, when they did the introductions, he said, and I'm playing pretty much what would have been Uber Eats back then. And then when it came to him to do his role, he had a mask on, like bringing the pizza. And so he like made it modern. Like he only put it on for that part, for that moment when he played the pizza delivery guy, the coronavirus mask. Yeah, it was, dude, it's fucking, I love just, again,
that pizza guy. I remember, what's his name? He was that little Taylor Negron. He's an actor. I think Sydney might have known him. I remember when he died a few years ago, Sydney was posted something. I think you might have known him or something. That's our manager, Sydney. But Taylor Negron, he was just a great little bit character actor, but he was the pizza guy, which was awesome. That movie was fucking star-studded. Jennifer Jason Leigh.
I only saw it way back when I was a kid.
Forrest Whitaker's first role.
Damn, and I haven't really watched it since. Maybe little glimpses here and there, but I definitely need to watch it again because I didn't remember a lot of that casting and stuff. And
I think it was Sean Penn's second role.
How racy this shit was.
I always thought it was his first. And it was crazy that Sean Penn, one of the best dramatic actors of all time, started as fucking Spicoli.
Yes,
but dude, it was epic. Spicoli.
It's perfect.
The three surfer dudes were Spicoli, was Sean Penn. It was Anthony Edwards. You know that dude Gilbert from Revenge of the Nerds and shit. And ER.
Right.
Gotcha. Yes. And the third dude was Eric Stoltz.
Right. They mentioned that. Yeah, someone mentioned his name. It was Cameron Crowe at the end. There's a thing with Cameron Crowe. And
nice. Did he organize it, or did Penn, or what? Who, Kimmel, maybe? It sounds like some shit Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah, I think got the feeling Kimmel. Yeah,
because why else was he there at all the people? It
was for a coronavirus charity thing. That's, I guess, how they got all the star power to sign on and stuff. And Dane Cook was sort of the host.
Yeah, so I saw he was in there, which is interesting.
Yeah, but he played one character, and actually he did a pretty good job actually as that character. It was I forget, again, I have a very dim memory of the movie, but character who was obsessing over Julia Roberts' character.
Yep.
Through the whole movie, he was kind of like,
Mark,
didn't know how to talk to girls and stuff. Yeah, that might be her. Yeah.
Yeah, I know him. Yeah, he's
okay. Yeah, I got to watch that shit again though. It definitely made.
So she was Jennifer Jason Leigh then.
Yeah.
Lost her virginity and shit. Man, that movie's classic as fuck.
Damn,
but
yeah, I don't have a very good memory.
I was saying Sean Penn. I was thinking he started Spicoli, but Taps, I think, was the first movie he was in. Do you remember that movie? Taps, where it's like a military school for boys, and they take it over and shit. Dude, that motherfucker, Tom Cruise, I think his first role.
Right, damn.
Sean Penn, Timothy Hutton, and then George C. Scott was the fucking like commandant of the school and shit.
Before Tom Cruise's cameo or not more than a cameo, but in
Outsiders.
In Outsiders.
Yeah, I think it was before that. I think it was his first role too.
That's hilarious.
Fucking man, they don't make shit like they used to.
No.
Like if they made a Fast Times type movie nowadays, it would suck. And it'd be more PC. It wouldn't get into shit really. It'd be more messagey. Like that was the great thing about Fast Times. Cameron Crowe basically had embedded in a high school, even though he was like 20 or whatever.
Right. Yeah, I remember that story.
And got like the real dirt on what the fuck high school was really doing.
And he was so young looking, right, that he could pull it off like a narc.
Yeah, exactly. That's why that Almost Famous, they cast that Patrick Fugit kid who looked all baby-faced and shit, because that's how Cameron Crowe was, you know?
Mm-hmm. It was funny seeing Cameron Crowe as old as he is now, actually. I was like, damn, man, time is moving by.
That motherfucker, I mean, his last few movies, I saw We Bought a Zoo, did not do it for me. And he lost kind of that edge, it feels like, to me. But there was a run. Dude, Jerry Maguire's a perfect movie, pretty much. You cannot fuck with Jerry Maguire. Singles, Almost Famous is fucking amazing.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Especially at the time in my life when those came out, it was perfect. You know,
right.
Vanilla Sky was another one that came out after Jerry Maguire or something, right? Like it was pretty soon after his like bigger, or maybe Almost Famous. But I remember not really getting into it. I don't even know.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to rewatch that again. because tonally it's a whole different thing. It's a remake of a Spanish film. And it was much more just dramatic, thrillery kind of shit, which from him, you're like, whoa, what?
Yeah. Like,
but I know people who say it's really good, but I'm going to have to rewatch it someday.
I've definitely had that experience where I didn't like something at first, and then I check it out years later, and like, this is amazing. What was my problem?
Right.
And vice versa.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, that was epic. Fast Times at Ridgemont High table read. Definitely worth checking out.
Damn.
I feel like there was probably more to say about it, but I forget now.
Well, like I was saying, it's weird because Fast Times is so hard hitting as far as just the reality of what these kids are really doing. And I mean,
well, yeah, that's a good point. That at the beginning, Dane Cook did a disclaimer sort of thing where he was like, and this was written in a different time, like, because it's talking about 15-year-olds talking about blowjobs and shit.
It's so much better for it though. It's not.
Yeah, I mean that really it does happen. That is the reality. Sorry, people. That is really what happens.
The weird thing is tonally. I think Amy Heckerling might have directed it.
Yeah,
she did like Clueless and shit. So tonally, it's kind of skews.
She was with
more comedy than the script felt like. Like you could make a Fast Times, I think, this dramatic as fuck, and not play it as a comedy at all. And even though Spicoli's funny, it's like because he's a funny dude in a dramatic world and shit. The movie's not going for laughs really, as far as the tone and the soundtrack and shit. But man,
a little like Dazed and Confused-ish.
Yeah.
That emulated it,
and even a little edgier,
intentionally. Yes,
like the scene where Jennifer Jason Leigh loses her virginity. A lot of people would call a Me Too situation nowadays.
I don't remember that specific.
It's almost
like how that went down,
rapey and shit. Like you could tell she wanted to just get over losing her virginity, but wasn't into it. And dude, had been. All right, so that guy Mark digs her, right? And his friend, who's like the cooler dude, ends up fucking her.
Yeah.
And the second he fucks her, he's just like, I gotta go. And he just bails and shit. And she's just laying there like, I just fucking got fucked for the first time. The dude's gone immediately and shit. What happened? And then he just ghosts her and doesn't talk to her at all anymore and shit. Which I remember being a younger dude, if you had a one-night stand or whatever, sometimes just like, I don't know if I want to go back. So it's not like you're like, I used this chick, conquered and moved on. It's kind of just like shit
fizzled. Yeah, it's just not right.
Fucking, it's almost shame. Like fucking so weird and gross. And you're just like, I don't know if I want to see this person again that I just did this gross thing with. I almost get people who just meet up in like peep show booths and fucking shit, which unfortunately it's like always just dude on dude. But I'm saying like if there was someplace dudes and chicks, maybe strip club, I don't know, wherever that kind of shit happens, just hookups, It's like, just anonymity is kind of good.
Yeah. Prostitutes.
Don't shit where you eat kind of thing.
Yep, exactly.
Sex being shitting.
You just get it over with and move on with your life. Yeah.
Right. Man, well, we recorded one of these last night, kicking it off with a shot to Ruth Bader Ginsberg, and the whole video fucked up. We recorded only me. Like anyone wants to stare at this fucking mug for an hour straight.
I think it's fine, and I wouldn't care if it was on me. I mean, it would suck a little, but whatever. But or you can just do it as audio. I don't really care. We could have this audio only episode.
Well, I was saying we could just not even. I mean, because I'll talk to you for an hour for fun anyway, so I don't give a shit.
Right.
If it gets released or not.
Whatever. Or
so
put
I'm
it in
down
the
to do a shot to Ruth Bader Ginsburg right now.
All right. I got my whiskey still here from last night.
Same.
Buffalo Trace.
You're such a Rogan fucking creep.
I didn't even know when I got it that it was a Rogan thing until you told me.
Damn.
Good way to start a Saturday morning.
So have we officially retired engines since it's not even what the fucking was said?
Right. Native Americans.
It's okay to be politically incorrect as a callback to a movie.
Right.
But we're just saying engines for no reason. I don't know if you
plus even between
you found out we were wrong.
Well, he said the word, but he said Indians, right? If that's what you yes. Well, it's from Easy Rider, Jack Nicholson's role, which was fucking amazing. He was this like drunk alcoholic lawyer guy, and when he would do a swig of booze, he would go like Indians. But we just, as things evolve in your own like mythology or whatever, in our little in-joke thing, we would do it when we'd take shots, Jay and I. And at some point over time, it became Indians, just this whole like,
because we fucking love
distorted version of it. Yeah.
Shit,
We just be like,
gross Western
Indians.
dialogue.
Yeah. And that's what we thought he did in the movie, though. We only saw it that one time, or at least I did only that one time. And I haven't watched it again since the first viewing. And then until recently when I started, I didn't finish again. The second time I started watching it recently, and I saw that it was a different delivery, a much different delivery.
Way more anyway, muted because you take it on as
right, exactly. Like when people tell stories, they kind of like every time
it's a fish story, basically.
Bigger, and also though between us, it's kind of gotten stale too. Like we were doing it, just like at some point.
Kind of. I still like Indians.
Right.
I like engines. But Indians, I don't.
Me too. Yeah, it has a better ring to it. Yeah. It's not pejorative or anything in our
minds. We gotta fucking hurry up and join that tribe. I could wear my
no shit. We are
Indians. We can say Indians.
No shit. But let's just go humans. Is that offensive or is it just it's like we want to be all inclusive.
Well, shit. Let me explain that while we're here. I was just telling my buddy Besson the other day, but it was just in a call, not a podcast. But for those who don't know, our dad, Butch Thornton, skipped out on us when we were young. I was maybe 3 or something. I don't know. I have like 2 memories of him ever. Maybe I was 3 or 4. He says 4 to 5 or 6 or something. But that doesn't even make sense to me timeline-wise. I don't know. Could be. Who knows? So he was like this.
Quite clear either, honestly.
Just.
I think, I was maybe 10-ish or something.
Was he like a 6th grade or 8th grade dropout or something?
Yes,
from Mississippi.
Actually, I think you remember him saying,
honky tonk kind of outlaw wannabe guitar player dude. Like there's a story that he went up on the balcony in our kind of projects type apartments outside DC in the Bowie area and played fucking Jimi Hendrix's Star Spangled Banner and shit. Like
just blasted over the complex with his amplifier and shit. It's awesome.
Maybe the best story to describe him. Well, there's 2. Yes. One, our Uncle Mike told us a few years ago when we were visiting him that your dad, I mean, he was all right. He just didn't want to work. We're like, hey, man.
I feel that. I know. I mean, I've been working the day job, professional, like 9 to 5, pretty much my whole adult life, but it's not because I love it. It's because I need the money, It's
like Butch was an artist.
I don't love work either.
You know what
I mean? I do, though. I think, I am actually a workaholic. It's just depends on what it's like. I want to work on things that inspire me.
Well, so was he. Like, he took an old bus and turned it into a house and shit. Like he was
exactly. So it's not that he didn't like work. Exactly. He didn't like working like he didn't like being a wage slave and having a boss and stuff,
Now, which I could totally fucking I mean, I inherited that G. Now, and Uncle Mike, the best thing he said there was that Butch and his buddy used to fly back from DC down to Mississippi with a suitcase, couple empty suitcases, and go out in farmers' fields and pastures and shit and pick psychedelic mushrooms and just fill like 2 suitcases of shrooms and fucking get back on a plane and fly the motherfuckers back to DC and sell them, which, I mean,
different time, man.
First off, shrooms. Fuck yes, Butch, my man.
That is awesome.
The world needs more shrooms, and DC of all places needs some fucking shrooms.
Yeah, for those who don't know, just look up the studies that have been done on the effects of shrooms when people psilocybin. When people take it.
The only thing that fucks me up is those stories that the Vikings would take them for berserker reasons.
I'm sure any of this stuff can be put towards different uses, but I don't know that it's not the cause of them being violent. It's just something they used. They already had that intention.
Its ability to make people less violent might be overblown. That's all I'm saying. Fucking Vikings just
these studies are people who are just like everyday people who are just living like suburban lives or whatever, and
I wonder if that made it easier for them to do something so heinous. Like if you're raping and pillaging on shrooms, it's fun. Like you think they're having fun and shit.
It is like maybe because one of the takeaways from a lot of these studies was that people would say, this was the first time they ever used psilocybin, magic mushrooms, and like an overwhelming percentage said it was like the single most like profound experience in their lives, and and it improved their optimism and positivity for like a long time,
like 30
afterward.
years,
Like
I think, which I don't know exactly how you study that and quantify it.
Yeah,
and shit.
I didn't remember it being that long, but yeah, it was just like, I mean, it was something where they went back and asked so many years later, and they still said, yeah, it's like changed me for the better, you know. So that's interesting. That's an interesting theory, though, that yeah, the Vikings did it because they needed that like
how else do they do something
positivity
so
boost,
gnarly?
right? Exactly. Right. It's ironic, but it's interesting. Yeah,
Could be.
I mean,
who knows?
Could
Because
be.
we
It's a
think
good theory.
Berserker Rage like fucking Weapon X Wolverine, fucking just going off and slaughtering everything in a 10-foot radius and shit. But maybe when these reports say that they took mushrooms as part of their Berserker Rage, it was just prior to a raping and pillaging session.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I think it likely was. Yeah, and
Right.
it wasn't what fueled the violent rage. You know, they were already
Clerks. You like to be making fuck berserk.
Yes. Excellent.
You like to be making suck berserk. God damn. This is one thing I wanted to talk to Finney about is just 90s movies, because I've never met dude, but he's Facebook friends, but man, he's got an appreciation of he's got to be like the exact same age as us or some shit, because all his movie references and nostalgia posts and shit on Facebook are so in our wheelhouse and shit, and just those great little 90s movies no one appreciates like they should, you know, the ones that never came out on Blu-ray and shit, you know.
Nice.
Anyway, this was all to talk about Butch and everything for a minute, and us being allowed to join a tribe and say Indians and wear Redskins hats and shit. So Butch, the other great story that sums him up to me is that he was a mechanic, but he sold his van and all the tools of his trade for a motorcycle, or traded them. This is like a dude with 2 young kids and a wife and shit, who he knocked up when she was 16, and he fucking sells all his shit for a motorcycle.
I mean, that is
rider indeed.
Emblematic, man. You know, like a motorcycle of all things. You know what I mean? Like, I couldn't make up something that was more like a guy trading in his responsibilities for something that's just like
freedom.
A motorcycle so solitary.
The icon of freedom.
Really, I know. It's
and getting the fuck out of Dodge.
Yes,
which he did shortly after, I think. Now, you told a story. You had a memory of the day he left, you said, right?
Yeah. He used to, but let me say real quick about his job. You know, he was a mechanic, and you know, as Jay said, he sold his tools of his trade in the van and stuff for a motorcycle, or traded them. Also, he used to put on his work uniform and, you know, like a mechanic's coveralls or whatever, and go to work, leave for work, and then the boss would call mom later and go, "Where's Butch?" Like he didn't show up, but he went to the lengths to like dress as if he was going.
Oh yeah,
but he wouldn't show up.
Getting high, fucking some chick. Who knows?
Totally. But when he left, yeah, I don't remember much. I just remember the specific weird thing of his nose being glistening with tears. Just his nose for some reason is what stands out.
That's why I was wanting you to say that. It's such a great childhood filtered view of it that it makes me want to. Like, if we ever directed a memoir movie or something, to shoot with a crazy depth of field, so this kid on the lap and then the kid POV shot of just the nose in focus, slick with the rest of it out of focus and shit, you know what I mean? Like, because that's how a kid sees it and remembers these details and how they burn themselves in our minds and shit. It's so crazy that that little the slick nose, it's very literary.
Good in prose, too. I was just going to say, but my memory is very much like that. My memory of my childhood is these really small glimpses. Yeah, they're not even like full memories mostly. They're just this like one just like isolated shard, you know, in most cases.
I had 2 memories of Butch. Like I said, I was really young. Well, 3 that pertain to him, but 2 that include him in them. One was just, I remember him picking us up, whether it was from, I think we talked about Maria Jorgensen, the Brazilian.
Yes. Whether or not that gets released, I don't know.
I think that one
it was in our previous, that's right. Yeah, it's already out there.
So I think Maria Jorgensen was this like Brazilian housewife who watched us and shit after school some days. And she was like, I remember she would catch bees like with her fucking fingers and pinch their heads off with her nails and shit. But I remember him picking us up from there or to take us somewhere for the day or something. And unlike Mom, who never let us do it, he let us go in and out of the windows of the car like the Dukes of Hazzard. And that was just the coolest shit ever to me. Like, dude, we can go through the fucking window. And now I see my kid, whenever he wants to do something stupid like that, I'm like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, it's
going
amazing.
through the windows, dude. And the other memory was he picked us up. I don't know if he had been gone for, it felt like, in my memory at least, that he was gone for months and showed up one day. It was
like
a
visitation thing or something. But not like he did it every week. Yeah, it was a long period. Yeah.
A long period. He came out of the woodwork.
At least to us.
Was trying to maybe get back with Mom or just wanted to see us or something. But I don't know how much he wanted to see us, because I remember he took us to a toy store and we got models to put together. And you were older, so yours had glue, and mine was like a snap together model of a helicopter or some shit. And then he took us to some creepy dude's apartment in like some shitty apartment complex. And I remember us, and this is another one of those vivid childhood details, the imagery. I just remember us on this little shitty playground. It's like a swing set and maybe a seesaw type shit. And just, it had really red mulch. I just remember that mulch, which was weird.
Yeah. And specific. I mean, even the smell of it is.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and we were doing our models in this guy's apartment, but then Butch was like, all right, y'all go play out in the playground or something. So we were just out there unsupervised, tiny ass little kids on this playground in this sketchy ass apartment complex while him and that dude were doing who knows what in there and shit. But I'm just like, you don't have your kids for months and shit. One time you got to go do some dirt. You can't just hang with the kids for a few hours. Damn.
It's like some Honey Boy shit almost.
Yes, very. I mean, that movie resonated with me like a motherfucker. Yes. Anyway, so he's gone. And the one other memory I have that pertains to him was somebody, the FBI or some shit, showing up at our door. Do you remember that? Wondering where he was. And
yeah, it was like because he owed child support.
Dude, I think it was a child support related. I think that's what Mom said. At least.
Oh yeah, at least that's what she told us. But maybe it was some other shit they were looking for him for. Yeah, he was.
But I don't think she was even there. I think Granny. We lived with our grandmother, who we called Granny, who's just badass old lady, very Roseanne Barr-ish, redneck.
I thought she was, but I don't know. I could be totally wrong with my memory of it.
Maybe Granny would let her talk to them or something weird. I just remember Granny saying, if you ever find out where he is, you tell us. We don't know where the hell he is.
That's right. Yes. Yeah. Right. We want that child support too. Yeah.
So we wondered for years, and our mom, bless her heart, never threw him under the bus. There was never any, if you're fucking good for nothing, Dad hadn't left.
Yeah,
kind
she
of
was really good about that.
Very
never.
Oh, I remember years after he was gone too, or maybe, do you remember that sawed-off shotgun? Do you remember that shit?
Yes. Well,
there was
I don't remember a sawed-off one, actually, no. I remember just a rifle, actually, like a hunting rifle. That's the only gun I remember.
I always remember, in my mind, it's like a sawed-off double barrel. Yeah, that could just be one of the Thornton brothers shit in me. But,
actually, I think he did have a double barrel. You're right. I think there was a shotgun. That's right. I don't know if it was his.
I swear it was sawed off, and Mom. I feel like that was where I learned about sawed off.
Okay. Maybe I just don't remember that detail.
And Mom said it was illegal or something.
Yeah, maybe it was just well hidden. I never came across it. I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, Jesus Christ, that's how
I kind of remember shooting clay pigeons with him once.
Interesting.
Yeah, vaguely, very vaguely, and I can't be sure it was even him.
We'd be hardcore Trump dudes if we grew up.
No shit.
That's by him, probably.
He had a Confederate flag outside his property when we finally.
And a pirate 30 flag.
30-some years. Yeah, a Jolly Roger and a Confederate flag.
Yeah, all right, well, let me get to that. So he disappeared, and we didn't hear from him for fucking years and years and years, but we were never that mad at him and shit. We weren't obsessed. Would my dad not love me? No, I'm sure internally, psychologically, I got diagnosed with borderline personality disorder in the military, and that shit's all about abandonment and fucking. So I'm sure the way I binge eating, all that kind of drugs and shit stems from a lot of that.
Definitely had impact. Like fatherless households have those
exactly.
sorts of
and then
outcomes.
The boyfriends that came around, and then the stepdad, military stepdad, all that shit's a chain reaction from it. But anyway, he was gone out of the picture for years and years and years until I'm like 35 or 6 with a baby on the way and shit, and I was about to be diagnosed with fucking cancer and shit. So later in life, he finally resurfaced in the form of me checking everybody check your others' messages or message requests or whatever on Facebook once in a while. because there was this message that had been in my other messages folder from a non-friend. You know, they like hide it from you for months. And it was this girl named Sharissa saying, "Hey, I think you're my brother."
And we had heard, actually, here's a story too, before we go into that, when we were in the Philippines, because our mom married an Air Force man eventually, and he became her stepfather, and we moved to the Philippines for a few years. And just before we left, our mom was told this later, I believe, but this had happened just before we left for the Philippines. Butch had shown up and was looking for us.
Pam Mulligan,
our mom's like old bar hopping friend.
Yeah, some Bukowski shit.
He's a character too. But he went to Pam's place. I guess he knew where she lived, and I guess we had already, moved on. Maybe we already were in the Philippines because he would have known where we lived, right? It was the same apartment up to them. But anyway, he showed up there and he said, and Pam suggested that Butch not come see us because we were just about to start this new life and it would be disruptive.
Yeah, I think he even probably knew where we were, which was fucked up. But he went to her so like for counsel.
Yeah,
like should I go talk to her? Is she seeing somebody?
Hey, I'm in town, which is a crazy thing. Yeah, and
that could have changed everything. Who knows? Him showing up there. I mean,
but he did tell Pam that he had twin daughters, and we knew that all these years and we weren't 100% sure if that was recounted correctly or whatever, the game of telephone kind of thing.
Right.
But
right.
we had
so
heard
twin daughters. So the Sharissa girl
we have,
messaged me,
like different mothers.
Right. So the Sharissa girl messages me. It says, "I think I'm your sister. You have a brother, Chris, right? Butch is our dad too. I have a sister, Samantha. She's my twin. We're identical twin sisters," which is hilarious because I don't know if she's still practicing, but at the time Sharissa was Muslim and Samantha was Christian, which is just, man, you can't make this shit up.
They fight like it.
Yeah, right. And one's like looks like 6 inches taller than the other just because of like Sharissa didn't like meat as much, so she didn't get the protein load growing up that Samantha did. So Samantha's just like bigger and shit, even though they have the exact same fucking DNA. It's so crazy, dude. It's a good case study. Yeah, exactly.
Some Mangalash.
So anyway, she tells us essentially that Butch is down in Texas, Galveston, Texas area, and he's dying, and he wants to see us before he dies, and he wants us to take him back to this plot of land he has in Mississippi to die. And we're like, damn, this sounds like some William Faulkner type as I lay dying epic fucking. And then, as we always do, like right now, we could just be having a conversation, but we're turning it into a podcast and shit. We were going to make a documentary out of it. So we're like, fuck it, let's do it. We had just...
Still might. I've been thinking about going back through the footage.
I know. Well, I was just thinking,
especially now that we have more chops,
that I mean, part of it, we're telling the tale here.
Yeah.
And we could definitely
just use some of the footage from it here.
We could have Uncle Mike on to talk. I mean, we could do a whole series of family shit. Have Sharissa and Sam on.
Yes, absolutely.
Their mom could come on and tell Butch stories. Shit, I'd love to hear some of that.
Build the mythology. And even in this one, we could use some of the video and shit. Just sprinkle it in if we wanted to do something like that.
Fuck yeah.
Just as we talk about them.
Anyway, said he was dying. So we're like, fuck it. We had just scored this. We got in the WGA and we're writing this movie for Zac Efron, the serial killer movie that's never going to be made. And we're like, fuck it. We got some money. Chris was going to quit his job out in California, come back here to Milwaukee, and we'd just work on this script together. And we took this epic road trip where we got this kid, Jeremy, I know, to come along. It's just like a cameraman. So we could just hang with Butch and not be shooting the whole time and shit, even though I ended up shooting a lot while we were hanging, which kind of was weird and sucked.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it did.
I kind of regret
disrupt
the documentary thing. I wish I just went to meet the dude.
Right.
Maybe psychologically, I needed that distance. Yeah. Though. Like, instead of it being awkward and just sitting there with him, I could be shooting something. I don't know. Mm-hmm. The busyness of it maybe helped psychologically.
And we like our little projects.
Right. Well, we like them conceptually, and then we start doing them and hate them and shit.
Exactly.
Like this.
And then, well, that was before we got as jaded. But.
True. So we've been jaded since we were Butch left. Butch probably left because we were so jaded.
As we are. Yeah.
Anyway, so we get down there. The motherfucker's not dying. I mean, he's not healthy at all. He's had a piece of his lung cut out, and he still fucking sits there chain smoking under his no smoking sign because of a respirator and shit. And he had 5 heart attacks, they say, survived, most drug induced type shit. Broke his back when a truck he was working on fell off the jack or some shit, worked his way back from that. I mean, tough motherfucker, right? But not dying. And he starts to just tell these tales, which are amazing. Everything we ever wanted to hear, that I used to work for the CIA and fucking, there was a time I was a
bounty hunter,
kicking doors down and shit with a shotgun, and just all these tall tales and shit.
Well, there was one point where he had an aluminum bat and said, "Hey, remember that I was telling you about being a bounty hunter and bashing heads in?" He showed me the bat had dents in it. So I don't know if that was really from.
Probably got drunk and hit a
It could have been exactly. Who knows?
Beat up a girlfriend's truck and shit.
Yeah,
who knows?
Totally. But
Teresa, his stroked out shack up, as he called her, who owned the property he lived on. So he was down in San Leon, Texas, which is like right outside Galveston, on this little lot with like 5 shitty RVs for like dudes who are on the lam and shit stay.
Yeah, I asked him how he advertises for tenants, and like, was it like in the local paper? They just roll by and ask, "Hey, you rent?" Yeah, like,
you rent them out?
The location, for someone to roll by that spot.
I mean, like, this is outlaw.
They're definitely trying to, right?
Too. Like, we ended up setting this TV show idea. We had a movie idea at the time called The Revenger that we ended up turning it into a TV show because we were trying to get away from writing features and shit. But on TV is where it was at. That we ended up actually optioning a show to the Weinstein Company before Harvey's Me Too shit hit the fan. Which is a whole
Our timing is just impeccable.
Odyssey. Yeah, always. Look at this COVID shit. The last time we were to pitch, COVID hits as we're pitching and shit. Anyway, so Galveston, Texas, San Leon, this area is just, I mean, he's off the grid completely. There's a bus, like, it's a shitty little house, but there's an old bus that's been turned into a house, but now it's all run down and shit. And like Chris said, he had a Confederate flag and he had a fucking pirate flag flying. And this is American pirate country, like coastline of Texas, close to Houston going into Louisiana, kind of bayou-ish and shit, Anyway, so he starts spinning all these yarns and telling these tales, but we find out he's not dying and shit, whatever. But it was cool. We had an awesome visit, shot some footage.
Yeah, we went back a couple times. I went a couple more times, and then you Jay went and with the family and stuff. And,
right. Now to bring this all back to engines, which is what started all this.
Yes.
Now Butch, his real name was Charles Lee Thornton, but he went by Butch. It turns out, he was telling us, it was a nickname because he was raised or named Charles by his dad because that was his cuss name. Because Charles was convinced that Butch's mom had been fucking around and he was an out of wedlock baby, right? Like this infidelity baby. And he thought the dude she was fucking around with was named Charles. So I'm going to name him fucking like Charles Jr., the man who fucking really is his dad. Every time I say his name, it's a reminder and shit, he ain't mine. And fucking, toxic shit.
Yeah, that's
he told a story about his dad when he was like, how old? 4 or 5 or something, just threw him in the river and was like, swim.
He shot at him once. Yeah, he was jumping over a fence or something. He told him not to jump that fence and shot in his direction and shit.
Like, damn. No wonder you end up an 8th grade dropout with all these issues and shit, right? I mean, we do talk about how it's generational, cyclical, and we were probably way better off with him hitting the road. Like, he did it for us.
Yes.
To a degree, you know what I mean? Instead of
sometimes it can be argued that your dad abandoning you is actually in that positive, right?
Absolutely, dude.
Depending on,
to just break that cycle.
Him. I don't. It's not to judge, or I don't have any animosity toward him saying that. I just mean,
it's almost heroic and noble if you know you're going to poison your kid.
Yeah,
I'm the opposite of him as a dad. I am a doting fucking there every second homeboy with my little boy, and that's because that cycle was broken. If he had raised me, probably not. I'd probably have 6 kids.
You'd be more like
shitty deadbeat dad. Shit, I wanted to run. When I found out Amber was pregnant with him, I'm 35 years old. My whole adult life, having a kid is my worst nightmare and shit. It fucked up relationships and just the dynamic of women and shit to it, all this kind of shit. So, and then, he comes along and I'm like, it might be my birthday. I might have to pull a butch on this shit, but stuck around. Best decision I ever made, obviously. So back to his dad, this out of wedlock shit. Sharissa and Samantha being so into family history, finding us, genealogy, etc. We're doing 23andMe tests. 23andMe has blown open the door on so much shit.
I mean, catching
serial
killers and shit. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
I love that. That's great. They're all like quaking in their boots right now, man. Oh fuck, hope one of my family members doesn't do a 23andMe.
Totally. It just upending familial histories and the Elizabeth Warren.
Yeah, right. You find out, it's not your dad kind of situation.
I'm going to touch on that too. Oh, well, all right. Let me say
Jerry
this
Springer
real quick.
shit.
Granny, who we mentioned earlier, who basically raised us, always constantly was saying we were Blackfoot Indian and shit. I remember as a kid, and that always super resonated with me. I mean, every cowboy and Indian movie I watched, I know whose side I was on and shit.
When I went to South Dakota, the Stronghold Table and the Badlands and stuff, I was feeling it like,
yeah, dude. I mean, that shit, Dances of Wolves. I mean, just it always is just so resonant. I'm sure it does with a lot of people because it's a lifestyle that is resonant, but
it feels more
just
pure
felt legit and right. And I felt that spirit and everything even. And then when we were in the Philippines, I remember I had some family history project I had to do in like 4th grade or 5th grade or something. I think 4th grade. And we called like long distance on the military line, that shitty line that could just drop on you at any second if they needed it for some mission shit. And I was asking her about the Blackfoot Indian shit, and she's like, "What? Like, whoa, what do you mean, what?"
Yeah, I know.
What? Blackfoot Indian? I said, "Yeah, you used to always say we were Blackfoot Indian." She's like, "Psst, that's because y'all used to run around outside barefoot and the bottoms of your feet were
dirty ass
brown and shit." Fucking amazing.
We had built this whole mythology around ourselves, but it turns out is
right. So this is the Elizabeth Warren of it all and shit. How you grow up with these family histories and shit, and even sometimes misinterpretations of something like that. Like if Granny had died younger, I would have just grown up telling my son we were Blackfoot Indian and shit. If I never got the reveal that it was just because we had dirty feet.
Yeah, you just pass that family history down, and it's again a game of telephone once again
for that shit. Even putting it on college application, I don't fault her for any of that.
Yeah,
I just take exception to her doubling down once she found out she had this infinitesimal DNA and saying, "Where's the $1 million?" to Donald Trump or whatever is fucking absurd. Fuck Trump, but anyway, political shit.
Yeah.
So 23andMe tests revealed the sisters had Butch do one, and it revealed that he was an infidelity baby, but it wasn't this Charles dude. It was a fucking Choctaw Indian named Elmo Moran who fought in World War II, Korea, and fucking 2 tours in Nam, dude.
Bad motherfucker.
Our granddad is a fucking Choctaw warrior. Sick. Amazing. So the weird thing is, though, we got 23andMe's and all that, and we have, I don't think it's Elizabeth Warren level low native blood, but it's definitely low, dude. It's not anything where I would look at my DNA report and say, I'm fucking Native American at all. But his dad or granddad is on the Dawes rolls. And for the Oklahoma Choctaw, they go by the Dawes rolls to see if you could join the tribe or not. Some tribes do blood quantum, which we would not pass. I don't think. I think there's even other Choctaw tribes that we would not get into. But the Oklahoma Choctaw, which he was part of, we are, I believe, eligible to get into. And I believe we should, just so we can keep saying engines after shots of whiskey.
Yeah.
To button that up.
Bleep. But yeah, I was going to ask, is this a hard out? Do you have a timer going or no?
I do have a timer.
Okay. I wasn't sure. I wanted to ask at some point, but I didn't want to stop the flow.
Yeah, it's a hard out.
So I have no clue where we're at. Do you want me to guess?
Sure, but I don't know if I want to reveal it.
Oh.
Because then you'll know.
Well, are you looking, though? Do you know?
I had to check to make sure it was running.
Yeah,
so I
exactly.
saw.
Yeah, I did the same. I don't care. I just, whatever.
You can guess if you want. I mean, it's kind of. Okay. I love guessing games. I'll guess about anything.
Me too. That's the main motivation. I have no clue.
Let's talk about Joe Rogan.
That's partly why I want to do it, because I really don't have a clue where we're at. I don't know when you started it.
All right, let me say this real quick. Maybe it could
be
pull us into something we want. I love guessing games, and Joe Rogan, I noticed, does that a lot on his podcast. How many people do you think it is that fucking, I don't know, look it up.
Then you Google it.
Yep. Should we guess?
Yes.
Let's guess before you reveal it and shit, right?
Yeah.
It's just fun. I love that shit. But so we started to do it on here, and then just like people are gonna think we fucking trying to be like Joe Rogan or something. It's like, no, he does something I love, so we do.
Yeah.
Too. Anyway, I wanted to talk about Joe Rogan.
In the jar.
He's so politicized these days.
Yeah. Okay.
People on the left hate Joe Rogan now. These professional managerial class type motherfuckers Ryan Jackson talks about, you know. Yeah. I have so many people on social media like that, and they're all just, he's the moron king and shit. He's the king of the dude, bro, morons. And it's like, they think his brand of masculinity is toxic, which is just classical, kind of classical masculinity. He's not trying to subjugate anyone. He's just
he's more like the protector kind of role.
Yeah, be strong, be able to protect your family.
And he likes badass chicks too, though. You know what I mean?
Hunt and feet. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he likes like muscle chicks and shit. He always says, like,
what's
your strong? I'm like, man,
you know, like,
I don't need some chick can beat my ass and shit.
Nah. It's not my thing either, but I'm just saying, I'm pointing out him, like when people say that if he's tied,
and I'm not that kind of dude.
Yes,
and I feel bad. Exactly. I think he's right. Like, all right, well, let's talk about anxiety again for a second, which will be a major topic when we talk to Finney. But I have anxiety nowadays. I let myself go so bad that if some shit happened to me and my family on the streets, I couldn't protect them like I should be able to. Like, I grew up a martial artist and fucking scrapping in backyards and shit all the time. Like, I could fight and totally be down to fight and know how to protect myself. But my body, my cardio, dude, my adrenaline would spike so bad with fight or flight anxiety that I suffer from. I'd gas out in a heartbeat. Some dude would pound me out in front of my family. Shit, that shit's gross.
Yeah.
So I think he's right.
Yeah, you should, you know.
And everyone should protect themselves if they have a family or not, you know.
Yep. And it's just better for your anxiety in general, as you know, you mentioned anxiety. Like if you do, you get it out of your system. If you're in good shape, you burn all that energy. Yeah. It's like
huge. Trying to just make sure. I know modeling is huge, so I got to get my own shit together for my kid. You can't be a hypocrite, but it's at least better to be a hypocrite instead of just raising them with the same shitty. It worked for me. I turned out all
definitely,
right.
Definitely,
everyone
right.
Does. So I got him in jiu-jitsu. He's going to Rufus Sport, one of the best gyms in the world, at 4 years old doing jiu-jitsu. Now he's 7, and because of COVID, we haven't been going to the gym, but I got this Gracie online shit, so I'm at least keeping him into it. He still loves it, whatever. But like that kind of shit is the way. It's like instill this healthy lifestyle. And I'll tell you, in the gym, a bunch of aggressive, super masculine, macho motherfuckers. Everyone's cool as shit because they get the poison out on the mats, all that aggression. They get out constructively. You know, there's a camaraderie to it. And there's everybody from people from the street and, you know, or politically, you got Black Lives Matter people rolling on the mats with cops. You know what I mean? It's like a place where all that shit is set aside. Everyone goes.
Breaking bread sort of thing happening. Yeah.
So that's super healthy. So I don't know. Everyone who criticizes Joe Rogan that I see is one of these male feminists, milquetoast type motherfuckers who I really don't have much respect for, that I know I wouldn't want next to me in a foxhole or in a fight in an alley or some shit. You know what I mean? They probably throw you under the bus to insidiously try and fuck your girlfriend by pretending that you're toxic to her. So you know what I mean? These kind of dudes. I don't know. Remember that Jamie Kilstein dude who went on Rogan? He was like the male feminist until they all came for him. Those kind of dudes who haven't been come for yet seem like the ones to me are mostly criticizing Rogan. Because I'll tell you, he's the first to say, I can tell none of them have listened to his show. That's the point. He's a moron. He's not as smart. It's like, dude, every episode he says, I'm a fucking dumb ape.
Yeah.
Don't listen to me. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I'm a comedian.
And meanwhile, though, he is like his, you know, memory of like various compound names and things, you know, when it comes to nutrition and the, you know, biology, human, you know, biology and such, you know, when he talks to people on those subjects, he seems to be pretty, I mean, his knowledge is pretty
Yeah, and he's got a few wheelhouse things
just because of the things. Yeah,
he covers,
which everyone does. You know,
too much. Yeah, exactly.
But compared to the general population, man, yeah.
Here's my thing though: he's inquisitive, and he's not.
Yes, and he's willing to change his mind. Yep.
Even this latest thing happened where he apparently said that there were Antifa guys essentially starting forest fires in Oregon because he had read it somewhere. And this is the latest thing. They're saying he's the moron king for spreading, and he spreads more misinformation than anyone,
and he did come back and apologize for it.
Yeah, he immediately came back and said, I fucked up.
That's the only reason.
Won't happen again. I mean, that to me is commendable. And the other thing they hate about him is that he platforms people like Ben Shapiro and Jordan Peterson and shit. But
I always hated that.
Commendable too.
Yeah, exactly. I'm all for that, man. Like
that's what we
want to know what makes these people tick, and you want to dismantle that. That's what his whole thing is,
And be open to the points they might be right and find
right. Yeah, exactly.
So
most people do have. Yeah, they have some reason for arriving at the conclusions they did. They might have taken a wrong turn somewhere, and that's the idea. But yeah, completely agree. The platforming thing I always thought was stupid.
It's not only a stupid criticism; it's like criticizing what you should really actually be doing.
Yes,
you're counterproductive. You're the motherfuckers holding us back from progress, yet you think you're a progressive. It's hilarious. Your echo chambering is not progressive. It's fucking detrimental. Anyway. And they just none of them have listened to it. So all they do is repeat talking points from clickbait shit that castigates him, that takes one quote he said out of context or whatever. Or when he fucks up like this, though. This article I saw where everyone's saying he's the moron king of whatever, even included his retraction. But these people ignore that.
Wow.
It's crazy to me, dude. And the misinformation thing, they think. But here's the thing. He's not the news. He's not Walter Cronkite. It's a conversation place. If he wants to talk to a flat earther like Eddie Bravo and shit, good.
It's a hangout. Yeah.
It's interesting. It's a hangout. Yeah. It's not. The misinformation thing is bullshit, too. He's not a media source like the news. Fuck off.
Right.
It's entertainment. And we should be able to, I just listened to this shit about flat earth. Do I listen to one podcast now all of a sudden I'm a flat earther? Shut the fuck up. Who cares about the misinformation? People aren't the sheep you think they are, except for you reading some article that said this is what Joe Rogan is instead of looking for yourself to see what the fuck he is. Yeah.
I heard Rogan recently talking about masks, or not so much masks, but the shutting down, businesses and stuff for COVID, and how he's a proponent of letting the economy do its thing and letting each individual person decide what they're going to do, and quarantining the vulnerable people, but letting society move, carry on with less restrictions.
Right. Which
and
I
that's
don't agree with.
Exactly. I was going to say that's an opinion. And here's the reason that the thing is, especially when it was early, and it's still we don't know for sure, and we're still seeing record spikes globally and stuff with this shit. Europe's having a surge.
Had its 2 highest days.
Yeah, so everyone's acting. I mean, we've taken these precautions and still are having record days.
And there's 200,000 people dead, and you can argue about the numbers again, but again, it's underreported as well as overreported.
Right. So there's an example of something that I disagree with him on, and but I still am all for him voicing his opinion, and then we do what we're doing right now. We talk about our thoughts on it, and may the best ideas win, hopefully,
If somebody has to say only shit you agree with for you to not have a problem with them, you're the problem.
Right. Yeah, that is not healthy.
At all.
But yeah, the other thing about the shutdown, conversation is, when I was saying it was, especially when it was early, you don't know, this could be a virus. Until you figure it out and you examine it and study it, there is a scenario where there's a virus that is like, if you don't shut down everything, it will just just flourish and just like the Black Plague did.
Well, dude, what would it look like
that's
now
possible.
If no one wore masks or anything?
Maybe this isn't it, but
this might be it. But we're doing some things.
Exactly. We're taking the precautions, right? People got to remember we have been doing these precautions. That's why it's not as bad. If we just carried on as normal, it could have been awful. It could be millions dead.
Right.
And
take the going back to school thing.
Even not though. My point is that you don't know that. You have to act as if it's that bad at the beginning, and then as you figure it out, you you cautiously roll things out. I do get the point though of paralyzing the economy, and I think it's exaggerated though, like the suicides.
Stop bailing out banks and shit.
Yeah, I know. That's
where
the
all
other
the money
thing too.
goes. UBI us, motherfuckers.
Right.
Problem
I know.
solved.
This is a lesson in how we need to construct our society so that we can weather things like
It's
this.
only
And
gonna
we
get
do have the
worse.
wherewithal and resources at this point. I don't buy the argument that.
Right. There's going to be cities, whole cities underwater. What do you think? All of our major cities are port cities. That's how society worked when we had ships instead of planes and shit. So all the major cities and areas of commerce are on these coasts that could very well be fucking underwater in 20 years. So if you're going to talk about the economy and shit, we need to restructure the whole fucking thing right now, dude.
Yeah. And be smart about it. That's the thing. We can use our brains and
equitable.
actually design it the way you want it to be. Right. It doesn't need to just be this, it just takes care of itself, the invisible hand guiding the economy and stuff. We actually have the wherewithal to improve our lot as a species. Where
right, and back
I want to know where we are on this timer. I keep feeling like I'm going to get cut off.
Shit. Everyone's saying kids don't get it that bad. That's because we fucking shut down the schools like immediately. We don't know what the fuck it's going to be. And every time they start sending kids back to school, a week later, they're all in quarantine. Fucking come on, people.
Right.
Deal with it. And so what? Dude, our school systems are so shitty with these teaching to test, multiple choice, fucking standardized testing and everything. We're like one of the dumbest fucking nations on the planet, honestly.
Right.
I mean, absolutely. Our people are stupid as fuck. Even our smart people are dumb, like the ones I'm talking about complaining about Rogan. These are intelligent people who are dumb as fuck. So the point being, who cares if kids even miss a whole fucking year of school? Maybe we should just be giving them good books to read and movies to watch. And
I know you could have a child flourishing with just reading. Yeah, just amazing. Like, is the classroom, or especially in our public schools and stuff? No, I mean, like.
Dude, my wife's a public school teacher.
Yes.
They're trying their best, but the whole
they are
it's like
exactly. But I'm just saying, it's not the best system, right? It's more systemic. It's like, too many kids per class and all those sorts of problems, and just the fact that it is just so rigid and lowest common denominator driven and all that kind of stuff. Exactly.
That's why my kids are Montessori, at least. But and that should be that's a whole different model. And this is a public school. Though Milwaukee has 8 Montessori public schools, which is fucking awesome. I think the only city in the country that has that many Montessoris in their public school system, which is cool. That's what we should be doing, is experimenting in different cities with different modalities and shit.
And every person does have their particular strengths and weaknesses, and we should let people somewhat drive their own education. I mean, there are certain minimums, but are the minimums that we're even instilling really the real minimums you need to survive in the world? No, like
industrialization, robber baron, making good worker type shit. That's all our education system is to churn out fucking good, obedient, compliant workers. But that's not how we got here. Human beings got here by having this way open system of, rigid education was for the very few early on, right? It was like priests and shit were the only ones who could read, the clergy.
Yeah.
Eventually it started opening up as it should be.
Type of situation.
Right. And the rich. So, and eventually it started opening up. So public school systems are great.
Yeah, it is a great notion.
We should have educated citizens. College should be fucking free and shit, arguably. Or just online. I mean, really, come on.
Yeah, I know. Really, now you can just go on YouTube and learn pretty much. Obviously, you got to be careful.
One of the worst rackets known to man.
I'm just saying, most information out there that if you want to learn something, you can find a way to learn it. But it's motivation.
You dropped $150,000 on an education. You could have gotten $150 in late charges at the public library. Fucking true. They nailed that shit before the internet was really up and kicking, dude.
No shit.
The library.
About the public library. Yeah,
exactly. Anyway, so we're doing it all wrong, but of course we want to educate a populace. But what we've proven is that it's not working. We have a dumbass, illiterate fucking populace who can't critically think, doesn't know shit about civics, doesn't know anything about philosophy, unenlightened as fuck. I mean, it's insane. We let TV take over, and I don't know, it's just bread and circuses type shit at this point. Yeah, but schools could be places. What if Carl Sagan was take a Betsy DeVos and kick her to the curb and put some Neil deGrasse Tyson in her place?
Fred Rogers, man.
Yes.
Someone who just, again, it's about cultivating. It's like imagining like a tree growing and you're like caring for it and you're nurturing it. But it kind of, the branches go where they want to go, but you're just keeping it healthy and giving it a lot
you're
of sunlight.
watering it. That's it.
Yeah,
it's not,
watering it in sunlight.
it's not bonsai trees. That's what we treat kids like bonsais. You want to perfectly clip them and make them, mold them into what you want them to be.
Which are awesome, but but
yeah, but they're not people.
In this analogy, exactly.
They're trees and shit. Like,
yes, right.
And that shit might be mean to trees if it hurts.
Yeah, I know, it's true.
It's death by 1,000 cuts.
It is, right?
Dude, we should make some serial killer.
I'm skeptical of like whether they can feel things and stuff. You know, I know they release pheromones and sort of communicate in some ways and stuff. Say. And yeah, all that, right? But I don't know.